I'm grateful to Professor Nitin Karmalkar, the Vice Chancellor of the University, for organizing this absolutely fabulous interaction with all of you. Thank you very much, Professor. Thank you, Mrs. Manisha Verma, for all your invaluable suggestions. I look forward to receiving some more details and assure you that we'll look at each one of them very, very seriously. There was some where I would have some difference of opinion, but let me get your thoughts through, then we can engage maybe on a VC or something to see what can be done. Mr. Dilip Ban, Mr. Dr. Rajendra Jagdale, Shri Dipendra Singh Kushwaha, my colleague Ms. Shruti Singh JS from the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, who looks after the startup ecosystem. Many colleagues who gave us presentations, Dr. Purva Palkar, Shri Premnath, Shri Prashant Girbane, all the other distinguished Punekars who have joined us today, and all the wonderful startup entrepreneurs that I had the occasion to meet and see your work. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. It's truly a delight to be amongst all of you here today. In fact, I'm told Savitribai Phule had started the first Indian girls' school in Pune. So it's very appropriate that we had a number of women entrepreneurs also showcasing their work today. Special compliments to all of you. And you see, we have a woman leading the Maharashtra effort. We have a woman leading the national effort. And whatever we may do will never match up to the capacity of our sisters and daughters, that I'm very sure. And they will keep this flame, the entrepreneurial flame, alive. And it's pretty much evident from the fact that almost 46% of the startups that are registered with DPIIT have women entrepreneurs also as a part of the ecosystem or a part of the registered DPIIT registered startups. In fact, Madam, you spoke about Tier 2 and Tier 3. Almost 45% startups, even today, are from Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. But I do like your point that we need to have more incubators over there. We are in the process, I think, of identifying more and more incubators under a recent scheme that we have launched, and we'll be happy to receive any further suggestions in this regard that you may have. I also liked your idea about rating of incubators and maybe escalating the funding for those incubators that do a good job. But truly, incubators are like parents for all of us in the startup ecosystem. They guide us, they support us, they hold our hand. When we are tottering or when we are facing difficulty, they encourage us, give us that little pat on the back, help us stand up again. I don't know, I was seeing the drone as a part of the exhibits, and I was reminded of the Three Idiots and that young engineer who, in the movie, of course, not in real life, but in the movie, gave up because he didn't get the right support at the right time. And all he needed was that little push at the last point of his innovation. And that's, I think, probably 10 or 12-year-old movie. So it shows that this entrepreneurial spirit was very much there amongst our young boys and girls. After Prime Minister Modi came in 2014, he recognized the power and the talent that each one of you has, and the Startup India mission took shape or was seeded. And I'm delighted that today we have an ecosystem across the length and breadth of the country that boasts of over 50,000 startups which are registered. There must be a few lakh startups which are not even registered with DPIIT. Many which are at budding stage or conceptualization or still ideas, ideation. But truly, the way we have grown almost to become the third largest ecosystem in the world is a matter of pride. And Pune, you'll be happy to know, has almost as many startups as all of Mumbai. So the number of startups registered with us in DPIIT from Pune are about 3,200, whereas Mumbai is just about 3,274 or thereabouts. So you are not very far behind. Of course, I come from Mumbai, तो अब मुंबईकर और पुणेकर के बीच में ये संघर्ष और आगे बढ़ना चाहिए कि कौन नंबर 1 हो जाता है. अभी तक वो है पर गैप बहुत छोटा है. I am really delighted to see the enthusiasm amongst your management team and all those who presented the good work that's happening to encourage the startup ecosystem. And in that sense, Pune has a very, very unique position. You have industry here, you have the IT sector, so technology here. You have some of the finest academic institutions. And all of us agree that it's the interface of academia, industry, and research which will ultimately take this country forward. Innovation is what defines developed countries today. You look at the United States, look at most European countries, particularly countries like Sweden or Finland or Germany. They are really defined by the innovation that they do. And that's what takes them forward. Incidentally, the STEM students who come out of the engineering and science technology background, the United States doesn't produce too many of them. The US citizens, probably 300 or 400,000. It is China and India who have the maximum STEM students today. And we have a unique opportunity. We are, of course, influencing and helping research and innovation in the United States and other parts of the world. We have a unique opportunity in India now to take all of these across oceans, across continents, and I cannot but agree with Madam Manisha ji when she says we need to encourage more international collaborations. And I think when I get back to Delhi, we'll look at how we are going to take this idea forward and expand opportunities for all our startups when they want to engage across nations and out of India. Of course, in terms of unicorns also, while India has done extremely well, but 79 unicorns today in India, and we are losing track. I think every time I'm giving a presentation, I have to ask for the latest number because it keeps changing. One happened only 3 or 4 days back, which got a unicorn status, I think. Pune itself has 4. I'm told Mindtickle, First Cry, Icertis, I hope I pronounce it right, and Dhruva. 4 unicorns from out of Pune, and that's something to be really proud of. But I'm sure there are many more in the making. Your own science and technology park has so far incubated 153 startups, as we saw just now. The SPPU Research Park Foundation has about 30 startups currently at the incubation center. So really, there's a lot happening here. And I have no doubt that the way COVID made us all change our mind and start looking at innovative solutions, going forward, we'll use the spirit of inquiry that is currently becoming current coin. Every child from young ages, and I saw some very young students also coming up with brilliant ideas. This spirit of inquiry should not be allowed to die. The spirit of inquiry needs to be encouraged. The spirit of inquiry will define the future of India and Indian education also. And towards that end, we have also changed a lot in the new education policy. We are not looking at typical degree and diploma holders coming out of colleges and the B.Ed, B.Sc, B.Com, B.A. programs, defining a student or a child's capabilities. I think more and more vocational training, recognizing skill sets of each individual and guiding him and giving him opportunity to pursue whatever is his calling in life is going to be the way future education is going to be carried out in India. Of course, EdTech also, the changes that are happening in our education system, where online education is playing an important role, will also, going forward, help us to explore new avenues and help us to gain knowledge from all over the world when we are dealing or trying to find solutions to the many problems that India faces, that the world faces. But I was very happy when I saw some of the solutions, of course, on agriculture also, another area which is very, very critical to the future of India. Some of your solutions on the physically challenged or accident victims were very exciting to see. COVID, of course, has provided a lot of opportunity for us to explore. I saw some of the companies which have worked on COVID solutions. I think my lab has also come up with some very good ideas which they presented to me in Delhi. And on our part, we are trying to give several incentives from the government. Madam, we can keep adding as many as you want. But at the end of the day, I personally believe that the less the government interferes in our startup ecosystem, the more potential we have for it to be successful. Look at the IT sector. The biggest and single most reason why the IT sector is a big success in India is because the government had no role to play in that. Wherever the government got involved, and we saw nationalization of so many different businesses or different sectors in the 60s and 70s, some of it also spilling over in the 80s. I think all of that has stymied the growth of those sectors. And if we allow our children to flourish, if we allow our entrepreneurs to have the freedom to take wings to fly with the least amount of government interference or involvement, my own sense is they'll be able to get scale in their operation, they'll be able to have a growth, they'll be able to come up with cost-effective and affordable solutions, they'll improve their designs, they'll improve their quality, and end of the day, clutches will only help us in the short run. If we really want this ecosystem to survive and go to great lengths, then we'll have to let it work on its own. So I mean, if I read out the list of unicorns, for example, I would suspect none of them got any reservation in government procurement. Almost none of them would have taken government support to become unicorns. It's good ideas, high quality delivery, good technology, how you can scale up quickly, it's service standards, or how you can add value to ease of doing business or ease of living. These are going to be the factors which will define success or failure. Government can play a role. We have a fund of funds. We give some income tax concession. I've reduced the patent charges by 80% for startups and for women entrepreneurs, for any trademark filing or any patent filing. We have some relaxation in public procurement also. There's self-certification under labor laws, under environment laws. there is a 10,000 crore fund of funds the government has seeded to promote startups across the country. I think it operates through SIDBI, and large amounts of funds have already been given. At the seed stage also, while the government has some initiatives, state governments and different ministries. So petroleum had a 100 crore rupee fund. I think the biotechnology and science departments also have been promoting, and they've come up with some very fantastic innovations, including co-vaccine, which I have also taken, which came out of a joint biotech department and the private sector working together to develop co-vaccine. You have an income tax exemption for 3 out of 10 years. All of these going forward can only be small enablers. The big picture is going to be written by you. The drawing is going to be made by you. The architecture of the startup ecosystem will be defined by all of you. And therefore, as we work together in a partnership model, we can only be a facilitator. We can only act as a small enabler. But it's ultimately going to be the enterprising, indomitable spirit of our young boys and girls, of our startup entrepreneurs, that will truly define success. Well, I'm saying young boys and girls, but not to say that at our age we cannot be startup entrepreneurs also. We've just had a very successful lady entrepreneur who's now probably the richest business person amongst women in India. 7-8 year startup story, 30 years of private sector work before she did her startup, and at the age of 58 is now the richest startup entrepreneur or lady entrepreneur, self-made, with no family history of business. So truly inspiring stories around for all of us. We have startups coming out from Odisha, becoming multi-billion-dollar ventures. We have startups coming out of Bihar, demonstrating their capabilities across the world. So there's huge potential. We have to catalyze that potential and ultimately integrate the startup ecosystem, and along with that our academia, our industry, our technology, all of them working together so that we can increase our footprint in global markets. Ladies and gentlemen, India may have 1 billion problems, but I think the Prime Minister once had said, for those billion problems, we have a brilliant set of billion innovators. These brilliant billion, if I can call them that, can do wonders. They can truly come up with extremely cost-effective, very relevant, innovative ideas, solving the problems of our farmers, of our dairy, of our small businesses, our hawkers, our poor, whether it's financial inclusion, whether it's education solutions. All of these will come out of all of you. And therefore, let's work together to truly transform India and let the startups be at the forefront of this journey of transformation. Maybe we can create dedicated e-platforms for the various ideas that keep coming up so that we can disseminate that all over the world. Maybe we can look at somebody amongst you can come up with a platform for our tribal artisans who have some wonderful products that will have great acceptance across the world if properly marketed, branded, given support on design, given support on packaging, and which can help transform the lives of our tribals. So a lot of things can be done. And together, we certainly can achieve big results, big outcomes. As Prime Minister Modi said, and I quote, "No obstacle can stop India from fulfilling its 21st century dreams and aspirations. Our strength is our vitality. Our strength is our solidarity. Our life force is the spirit of the nation first." Let's work with that spirit. Let's go for problem solving, finding solutions for the billion Indians aspiring for a better quality of life. My best wishes to each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your wonderful, wonderful, inspiring address covering wide spectrum, right from STEM students to EdTech, Agri-Tech, specially challenged people, Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, and so on and so forth. It was really very, very inspiring. And also, it was very important for us to note that you did say that MSIL, Maharashtra State Innovation Societies, all the new suggestions, you would dwell upon that and look into them closely. Thank you so much. Sir, one more thing I would like to also share with you, that all the startups of Mumbai on weekends come to Pune for, brainstorming and rejuvenation. So in a way, we cover them in Pune only. Thank you so much, sir. And with these words, I would now invite